You are listening to the Path to Mindset Mastery podcast. Today, the entire focus is on teaching you how to actually set goals that you can hit. Chances are, if you aren't where you want to be yet, you've fallen into the trap of not setting goals because you're afraid that you won't be able to hit them. We need to reverse that today. Goals are an absolute must if you ever want your dreams to happen. And today I'm going to teach you by far the most effective way to set them and actually hit them. This is going to be workshop based in workshop style, so make sure you have a pen and paper ready to go. You're going to be clicking pause a lot today, but I challenge you to go through this exercise with a lot of passion and a lot of heart because it can unveil this amazing amount of this feeling of excitement and passion and joy because you're crafting a compelling future to go towards. So my name is Brad Bizek. I'm a mindset coach and inspirational speaker, and for the last 3 years, I have worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and home-based business owners and help people just like you shatter all the limiting beliefs and overcome all that self-doubt to build the confidence and create the life that you truly deserve. This is the Path to Mindset Mastery podcast. And first things first, I actually have a tool to help you with all of this stuff when it comes to limiting beliefs and mindsets and negative emotions. And so we have a download for you today called the Mindset First Aid Kit. This is your go-to guide when you're in the dark times and you don't know where to go or how to break through it. And instead of just praying that these limiting emotions go away, you're going to be able to break through them in an instant and get back to building your legacy. Like, imagine no longer needing a week to get back on track, but instead you did it in seconds. That's what the Mindset First Aid Kit is for. You can find that linked up below this and get started with that right away. And as always, if you're finding value in this, make sure to give us a rating and review. I love seeing your feedback and how much this podcast has touched you. So if you feel compelled to, we'd love it if you left us a rating and review and share this on your stories, your social media. People need to hear this. So let's dive into it. But first, before we get into the workshop, let's start with the self-imposed limitation of not setting goals because you're afraid you can't hit them. So think about this just for a second. If you don't have something compelling in the future that you're working towards, that you visualize on a regular basis, you are not going to be pulled towards success. And instead, you're going to feel like you are pushing towards success. You ever felt that feeling of having to force yourself to do things? That's what happens when you don't have a compelling vision of the future. And so if you haven't set goals because you're afraid that you haven't been able to hit them in the past or that you won't be able to hit them in the future, you're living in a state of perfection. You're living in a state of, if I don't achieve, then I'm a failure. And that is simply not true. And you know that's not true. So we need to give up those childish fears. There's 3 things that you absolutely must do if you ever want your life to change. Want to know what they are? Really, really simple. Number 1, see things as they are, not worse than they are. So what I mean by that is get out of the habit of catastrophizing. If something goes wrong in your business or if you miss a monthly benchmark in your business, what story plays in your head? You have all these stories, right? Of it's easier for other people, no one wants to join me, I'm not enough. Who would ever want to listen to me when they can go to someone else? And you say these things so many times to yourself that you start to believe them because whatever you repeat to yourself consistently, you will believe whether it's bullshit or not. So what you need to do instead is tell yourself the truth. What's the only thing that's true if you don't miss a monthly benchmark? The only thing that's true is that you missed your monthly benchmark. That is it. And when you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm a bad leader, no one wants to join me, all these things, when you say that to yourself, how do you solve it? Like, you can't solve it. It's literally impossible to solve it. So we need to get out of the habit of catastrophizing and just focus on the facts. When you say, all that happened was I missed my monthly benchmark, when you focus on just the fact of the situation, isn't that so much easier to solve? Oh, cool, I need to invite more people, right? Simple solve. Tell yourself the truth. That's number 1. Number 2 is, instead of seeing things as they are, not worse than they are, number 2 is you need to see things better than they are. You need a vision. You need a direction. The best time to enter the woods is when you have a map of where you're going. If you want to build a successful team and you want a team to follow you and stick with you through the hard times, which by the way, there will be hard times, they need direction. And if you have no direction yourself, how can you ever expect them to perform? They won't perform if you don't have any direction. So you need to see things better than they are. And then number 3 is make things better than they are, meaning go from where you are, the fact of the situation, to where you want to be. Today, We're going to focus more on numbers 2 and 3, which is seeing things better than they are, your vision for the future and your big goals, and how to get there. That's making things better than they are. Okay? And we'll have other podcasts and plenty of other resources like the Mindset First Aid Kit I mentioned. That's going to teach you to not catastrophize. Download that right away. Get started with that. So before we get into the workshop, there is one rule that I have for today. Never dream based on your current reality. Never dream based on your current reality. What does that mean? If you take what you're currently capable of and use that to dictate your dreams, all you'll do is create more of the same in your life. And last time I checked, if you're trying to change your life, creating the same life isn't a good strategy, right? You need to dream as if you have no limits. You need to dream like a little kid saying, hey kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? Or who do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid goes, I want to be an astronaut, right? You need to dream like that. Dream like a little kid. All your dreams should be something that are incredible, that excite you, that make you light up with passion and aliveness. That's what needs to happen when you dream. And so all of your short-term and long-term dreams are going to be based on dreamland today. I want you to suspend reality for the duration of this podcast. No current reality allowed. Make sense? So there's 4 categories that we're going to dream in. What we're going to do is we're going to go big vision, then we're going to narrow it down all the way down till you know exactly what to do today to get started in creating that dream. It's going to be an amazing workshop, okay? So there are 4 categories of dreams. Personal development dreams, career and economic dreams, toy and adventure dreams, and contribution dreams. There might be other categories, but typically it falls under those 4. Personal development, career, economic, toy and adventure, contribution. So for each category, what I want you to do, and I want you to pause me, and I want you to suspend reality, and for all of these dreams, for all your personal development dreams, I want you to dream big and set short-term and long-term dreams just on a sheet of paper for all personal development stuff. This could be getting to a seminar. This could be investing $100,000 in a mastermind. This could be learning a new language, learning a new skill, learning how to build a house. Anything that makes you grow personally in any way, not just related to your business, but any way, shape, or form. Anything that's related to personal development that makes you grow. Dream short-term and long-term. I want you to just fill out an entire sheet of paper based on those dreams and pause me until you do. Then when you're back, let's assume you're back. I hope you've done this. Do the work. This is not a podcast where you listen and it's going to change your life. It doesn't work that way. You need to do the work. Number 2 is take a look at your career and economic dreams. Now here's the thing. A lot of people only think in terms of career and economics. But I'm telling you right now that if you are not fulfilled from a personal development perspective and an adventure perspective and a contribution perspective, then your career and your economics aren't going to be as high. You're not going to get to where you want to go. So these goals are still just as important, but we need to focus on the other ones as well. So I want you to think about your career, short-term and long-term. Where do you want this to be? Your mission, your economics, your finances. How much money are you making per week, per month, per year? What's your salary? Have you gotten a raise? Are you selling out stadiums? Are you hosting workshops? Are you leading retreats all around the world? What are your career and economic dreams? I want you to fill out an entire sheet of paper, short-term and long-term, everything you got. Just dream big about what's possible if there was no limit whatsoever on what you were capable of. Do that right now and pause me. Let's say you've done that. I want you to come back, and now we're going to do it for toy and adventure goals and dreams. What I mean by that is things and trips and experiences, whether that's a cooking class or traveling to Italy for a month or traveling the world for 2 years and seeing all these different countries, or maybe buying a car or buying a yacht or owning a helicopter or a plane or buying a resort in Bora Bora or whatever it is. I want you to play in this category. Long-term and short-term, I want you to pause me. And no limitation, all the things. If you were a little kid, what do you want? And then what do you want? And then what do you want? An entire sheet of paper completely filled out on your toy and adventure dreams. Pause me and do that now. And finally, let's say you've done that. Come back, and I want you to dream in terms of contribution. What's the legacy you want to leave? What is the imprint you want to have on society? Is it to start a foundation? Is it to donate $100 a week to a charity of your choice? Is it to save a kid from sex slavery? Is it to start your own foundation? Is it to pay off your dad's mortgage? Like whatever it is, when it comes from a sense of contribution, maybe starting a battered women's shelter, right? One of my clients is doing that. Like whatever it is in terms of contribution, I want you to dream huge and set these goals and these dreams from a place of suspending reality. Realism is the fastest traveled road to mediocrity. Dream big for a minute, pause me, and make an entire short-term, long-term, just long list, include both on a sheet of paper, of what you want to achieve in your life when it comes to your contribution dreams. Okay? So let's say that you've done that. So for each category, don't keep going until you finish that. For each category, each of your 4 sheets of paper, what I want you to do after I explain this is pause me and do this exercise. I want you to go through and give them a number. You're going to give each and every dream, all of them, it should be like 100 dreams on your sheet of paper. By the way, have you noticed that just from writing 100 dreams on your sheet of paper or 80 dreams on your sheet of paper, have you noticed that all of a sudden your energy has gotten higher? Who would have thought that dreaming big makes your energy increase? And when your energy increases, by the way, do you take more action or less action? More action. Do you see where this is going, right? So for each category, in all of your dreams, your 80, 100, and whatever number you got, whether you got 10, 20, 100 for each category, it doesn't matter. What you're going to do is go through and you're going to write a 1, a 3, a 5, a 10, or a 20 next to all of those dreams. And so what that means is, when you take a look at those goals, is that a goal that you'd like to accomplish in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years? And I want you to have some for each of them. What is something you want for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And dream big here. When you do this, what is something that's going to cause you to become a different person? When you think about the 1 year, what's something that's going to cause you to really push, really challenge yourself, and give each and every one of them a label? 1, 3, 5, 10, 20. Whatever you come up with. Okay? Pause me and do that for all of your 80, 100 goals. Do that right now. Now what I want you to do, see how we're reverse engineering from that big vision down to this? Now what I want you to do is I want you to circle every 1 year goal from each of those 4 categories. Okay? So for each category, each of your 4 categories, circle all of your 1 year goals. There's not going to be that many. Maybe there's 5, maybe there's 7, whatever it is. Circle all of your 1 year goals. And then what you're going to do, pause me and do that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick one. You are going to pick just one goal from each of the 4 categories. So you'll have 4 total. One goal from each of the 4 categories that would just juice up your life. What's the goal? When you look at it, if you achieve that, it would make you so freaking excited that you just wowed yourself. You're going to do this for each and every category. You're going to pick one goal for each of the 4 categories. And let me show you why this is important. Well, let me give you the example of my career and economic goals. One of my 10-year goals is selling out a stadium and earning $20 million in one 3-day event. Pretty big goal, right? Huge, massive, astronomical. Nowhere near that right now. But when you look up at that mountain of a dream, doesn't it seem kind of, hate this word, unrealistic to get there? And don't those negative voices pop up in your head about how it's not possible? And it just seems super scary, right? Those are dreams, right? But when I take a look at my 1 year goal, my 1 year career and economic goal is to generate $2 million of business this year. That is, for where we are in our business now, much less intimidating than $20 million in 3 days. And it doesn't need to be those numbers. You could have a dream of earning $500,000 in 10 years from now. Well, maybe your 1 year dream is earning $50,000 this year. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The point is, when you get down to 1 year, it's so much less intimidating, okay? So now we have 4 big 1 year goals. So the question is, how do you make them happen? How do you actually make them happen? I want you to take you through an exercise that I learned from James Wedmore called the Mount Everest exercise. And I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but the theory and the idea behind it is so on point. I want you to think about this. When you're looking up at Mount Everest, doesn't it seem so impossible to get there. You have no idea where you're going to be going. You have no idea where the crevasses are. You have no idea where the drop-offs and the cliffs and all the dangerous parts and the easier parts. You have no idea where you're going to go. And it seems so scary to get up there. But I want you to imagine, close your eyes and imagine that you're 1 year from now. You're 1 year into the future. You're 1 year into the future and you're looking back all the way down that mountain. I want you to imagine just 1 year from now, you have made that 1 year goal happen and you're at the top of that mountain. You're at the top of that mountain looking back down. When you're looking back down from the top of the mountain, it's so much easier to see how you got there, right? So much easier than looking up at the mountain and saying, how the heck am I going to do that? When you're looking back down, you can literally see where you came from. Like if you've ever gone hiking, you see this. When you get to the top of a hill or the top of a big hike, you see the switchbacks. You see everything you went through. What I want you to do is close your eyes and imagine that goal were already true. You're already standing at the top of your Mount Everest, looking back at how you got there. And when you're looking back at how you got there, you're going to start to see how to make this happen, which leads me to the how, right? Everyone wants to know, how do I make this happen? And the how is important, but you need the right mindset to get there first. I learned something from Tony Robbins called RPM. I did not create this. This is what I learned from Tony Robbins. It's called a results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan. So you're going to see how simple creating these massive dreams really is. Okay, so what is a results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan? An RPM plan, kind of like RPM in a car. When your RPMs go up, it's turning faster. It's going to make you get to your goals so much faster. So step one in an RPM plan, you're going to do this exercise for each of your 4 goals, okay? And maybe if it's too overwhelming for you right now, just do it with the number 1 goal that you'd like to achieve, however you'd like to do it. So an RPM plan, you start with the first part, the R, the result, results focus. Well, the good news is you already know what that is. That's all the work we just did. All the work we just did got you to your 4 R's, your 4 results, your 4 big 1 year goals. That is our R, okay? The next piece is P. And P stands for purpose driven, okay? So the reason this is so important, this is what so many people skip, is they don't think about why they want this goal. They just have the goal and they don't think about why. If you don't have what you want, it's because you don't have enough reasons. For example, if I said to you, or if this happened in your life, your kid slips into a coma, gets rushed to the ER, and the kid's in there, you're panicked, you're worried, the doctor comes in and says to you, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that your kid's gonna live. The bad news is that if you want your kid to live, he needs a prescription medication by 5 hours from now. That prescription medication is not covered by insurance, payment is required up front, and it costs $100,000 in order to get that medication for your kid to live. Question, would your kid live? Absolutely your kid would live. Without a doubt, you'd find a way to make it happen because you have enough reasons. Write this down. Reasons come first, answers come second. You need a reason to go after these big goals. So what I learned from Dean Graziosi, I did not create this either. Notice how, by the way, I'm sharing content I learned from other people. And by the way, are you getting value from this? This proves that you don't need to know it all before you start. You learn from other people and apply it in your own unique way. Side note. Anyways, I learned from Dean Graziosi something called a 7 levels exercise. This is how you find what actually matters to you. When you take a look at that big dream and that big goal, I want you to ask yourself, why is that so important to you? And this is what most people say. Most people say, well, I just want financial freedom for my family. Well, financial freedom isn't a reason. Financial freedom is a goal. It's something you can achieve. That is a goal. It is not a reason. So you might say that, and that's cool. So that's number 1. That's line number 1. Well, then you go to number 2 and you say, okay, why is financial freedom so important to me? Well, because I want to provide for my family. Great. Amazing. Well, why is it so important to provide for your family? That's level 3. Well, it's so important to provide for my family so I can give them an amazing life. Okay, great. Why is that so important to you? That's so important to me because I want to make sure and give them the life that I never got to have. Great, why is that so important to you? Because I felt so miserable growing up, like I wasn't worth anything. Why is that so important to you? Because I want to make sure and break the chains of mediocrity in my family history. Great. Why is that so important to you? Because I want to finally believe that I'm worth something. That's my why. That's a peek behind the curtain into what drives me. That's a look into just how I viewed success for a long time. I just wanted financial freedom. It's so much more than that. I wanted, when I really got down to it, I wanted to finally believe that I was worthy of success. I wanted to finally believe that I was worthy of something. And so I did this with each of my goals. And guess what? Did it light a fire under my ass? You bet it did. This is the work no one is willing to do. This is the work no one's willing to do because they say they don't have time. You don't have time to create your future? It's time you get a life, right? That is not how it works. You need to make sure and make the time to do it. So you need to find what the true purpose is, because when you have a reason, you will take massive action, which leads to number 3, or part 3 of the RPM plan, which is M, massive action plan. What I want you to do is, looking down from that Mount Everest top, you have the result you want, you have the purpose of doing it. Now I want you to brainstorm. What are all the steps that got you to the top of Mount Everest? What are all the steps? Okay, I needed to send this many invites per day. I needed to change my social media to do this. I needed to create that free opt-in. I needed to launch that podcast. Write down all of the things that would have gotten you to this goal. And what's so interesting about this is that this will overwhelm you, and it should. It should overwhelm you, but you'll have momentum and excitement and passion and purpose and drive to do it anyways. So this will overwhelm you. I want you to be overwhelmed from this. You're going to write down every single way that you're going to get there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to refine it. And what I mean by that is you're going to pick the top 5 most important things from that list that are going to get you, that are going to create the most change to get to those goals. And guess what? Those top 5 are going to be the most uncomfortable things. They're going to be the things that you've been avoiding the most. When you've circled your top 5, then you're going to prioritize them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 being by far the most important thing to get me to where I want to be. And I don't want you to lie to yourself here. It's very easy to lie to yourself and say, this is probably more important. You need to do this first. That's fear. Do what's actually important. You have a reason now for doing this. And you're going to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to start taking massive action on number 1. Massive action number 1. It's the thing that you're going to want to avoid the most, but now you've seen the future, you know what's possible, and on top of that, you have your reason for doing it. Who would have thought that it's that simple? All you need to do is that one thing. That one massive action item that's going to lead you to where you want to go. That's how you create the 20-year dream. You break it down all the way to the one action step that's going to create your future. Then you ask yourself a question. Who do I need to become right now? Who do I need to become right now to take that type of action? And you just take massive action over and over and over again until you get what you want. So, this is the work no one wants to do. This is the work that most people avoid. This is the work that sets people apart. This is where 98% of people fail because they are not willing to do this. When I did this, I turned my life around. You will too. So I hope you found a ton of value from this. I hope this gave you an idea of how simple it is to really set these big goals and actually achieve them. And make sure you go through this, maybe re-listen, pause it, and actually do the work. Do this for your 4 big goals, and you'll be able to achieve them. And don't forget to download the Mindset First Aid Kit below. It's your go-to guide when you're in the dark times, when you're overwhelmed or panicked or anxiety, and it's going to have anxiety. It's going to teach you how to break through. Instead of just praying those limiting emotions go away, you're going to be able to break through them in an instant, get back to building your legacy. Imagine no longer needing a week to get back on track, but instead you did it in seconds. That's what the Mindset First Aid Kit is for. It's all linked up below this podcast. You can find it at bradbizjak.com/mindset. And always, as always, if you're finding value in this, make sure to give us a rating and review. I love seeing your feedback on how much this podcast has touched you. So if you feel compelled to, if you've been touched by this, we'd love it if you left us a rating and review, and share this on your story. Share this in your social. People need to hear this stuff. This is how your teams grow when they learn this type of mindset work to get them to the next level. So I hope you found this valuable today. My name is Brad Bizjak, and just remember to go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face. You're only one mindset shift away from doing that. I'll see you next week.